Hi, welcome back to CS170. I'm going to be doing a couple of little things in the extra video this week. One is to cover essentially a nested if statement, which is basically doing a single if statement with multiple criteria. Normally, we've been doing the if statement with just one criteria. We'll do it with multiple, and you can do it with like 2, 3, or whatever. You can kind of nest these these if statements. But before I get into that, there's a couple of things. So for the first Excel assignment, the one about getting the min salary with the region, as some people noted, you could do it with a VLOOKUP, which is fine because we did eventually teach the VLOOKUP. Or you can just do something as simple as just do a min to find the lowest salary, and then just look over on that same row to find out what region that is and just plug that into the assignment. Either way you do it, you will get the full mark for that question on the assignment. So don't worry about which way you want to do it. So some people were asking about that. Now, the other thing is, I think we've mentioned a few times about the academic integrity issues, where if you do something that hasn't been taught in class, it's going to attract attention. It's going to get flagged as an issue. So if you want to do something that is not taught in class, and you looked it up wherever you looked it up, you really need to give your TA a heads up before turning that in. If you don't do that, there's a very good chance it's going to get flagged up for academic integrity violation. Okay, so we've been having a few more of those type of situations, namely on the JavaScript stuff. But there's a potential for that to happen on the Excel stuff too. So you want to do certain things that just don't instantly raise a red flag for academic integrity violation, where it would be very easy for something scanning your homework and comparing it to something found on the internet, or doing something that hasn't been taught in class. Those couple of things is going to flag right away. So, for your own sake, please try to avoid doing that, whether it's for the assignments or for your exam. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's do the if statement nested. Okay, so the first way, which is probably the most common way to do it, let's do equals if here, and you can see the logical test here, but I don't have to just do one test in here. I can do multiple tests in here. How can I do that? Well, I can do like an and or, right? So let's do an and here, like this. And what does that mean? And means both of the values have to be true for it to evaluate to true. So, which is the same thing as if you were doing this in the programming language like JavaScript or whatever, right? But you're going to have an and then you're going to put a couple conditions in here and then test it out. If they're true, both true, then that's going to evaluate the true. So in this case, let's check if this is greater than, let's say 3. Okay. And then what's the next logical criteria? Let's see if this is maybe greater than 10. Okay. And then we'll close it up with a parentheses, right? So in Excel, the way you want to put these into the function is you put the function name, and then you put in like each of the things you're passing in, and then you close it off with parentheses, just like this. Okay. So there you have it. Then once I do this, then you're to this point. You say, what am I going to put down? If this evaluates to true, I'm going to put true like this. And then if I want it to print false when it's false, and then close paren. All right, so let's see. So this evaluates to false, right? Because I was checking to see if this is greater than 3 and greater than 10. So this part was true, but this was not true. So that's why it's false. And then we use the fill, drag it down. There you go. So let's look at this true one here. So true, because this is greater than 3 and this is greater than 10. Okay, so this is probably the most common way and probably the easiest way to put multiple criteria into your if statement. Okay, each column. And you can check both of them. I mean, it doesn't have to be column, it could be whatever, right? But you can see how you can put a whole bunch of different criteria to evaluate the true. And likewise, you want to use an or statement, you can do the same thing. Now, is there another way to do this? There is. It's probably a little bit maybe less common, but it's valid. So I'm going to show that to you. So we have the if statement again. But this time I'm going to just pick one of these. In this case, I'm going to say this is greater than 3. Right? And then here, the value if true, right? So this basically says, what do you do if this is true? Okay, so it's not the fact that you can just say, well, it's like quote unquote true or whatever you want to put in there. You can actually evaluate another statement, right? In this case, I can actually put another if statement here, right? And then I can say, if this is greater than 10, which is exactly what I was doing in the last if statement, okay? And then by the time I get to this point, if the first check is true and the second check is true, then I want to write true. Else, I want to write false. Okay, and then I'm going to close off the parentheses to close off this if statement. All right, now I'm going to close off the outer if statement. And then I'm going to say false like this, and then I'm going to close off with a paren. And you're done. Okay, so what I've done here is exactly the same, right? The result should be the same because I'm checking this one and this one, right? This one greater than 3 and this one greater than 10. I just did it in a different way. This one, like I said, is probably the easier way and the more common way. This one, when people talk about nested ifs, I would probably think about this as more of a nested if, but you know, that's just my own opinion. This one, maybe people might say this is a little bit harder to follow. This one is a little bit more clear, right? Because you have an and then you have the criteria here. So I think this one is probably more common for a good reason. But, you know, I just showed the 2 different flavors in case people want to try that. You're welcome to try either one in terms of doing like compound checks on your if statements. Some people refer to as nested if statements also. Okay, so hopefully this was helpful for you. If there's any questions, send me an email. If there's other Excel functions you'd like me to review or go over, I'm happy to cut a new video for it. Thank you for your time tonight.